My name is Bob Putnam. I'm a professor at Harvard University, where I work mostly on big social changes describing America. In the book, there are a whole lot of what we call scissors graphs, which show things getting better and better for kids from comfortable backgrounds and getting worse and worse for kids from more impoverished backgrounds. That you can see all over the country, including here in Duluth. I think what I really hope is captured in the title of the book, which is Our Kids. That refers to the fact that when I was growing up in America, in a small town actually in the Midwest, Port Clinton, Ohio, also on the Great Lakes, in the 1950s and 1960s, when my parents and other adults talked about our kids, they used the expression our kids, they did not mean my sister and me. They meant all the kids in town. And they kept voting for bond issues for schools and French departments in the high school long after my sister and I were gone, because they thought of all of the kids in town as being our kids. What's happened over the ensuing decades, and not only in Port Clinton and not just in Duluth, but across the country, is a shriveling of the meaning of our kids. So now if you go back to Port Clinton and you talk about some kid living in real poverty, adults in town say, oh, she's not one of our kids, she's somebody else's kid, let them worry about her. That change, that narrowing of what we mean, how we sense our responsibilities to other people, is, I think, the underlying deepest cause of this opportunity gap. So what I'm trying to do nationwide, but also right here in Duluth, is say to people in Duluth, think about these poor kids. I'll tell you about the lives of poor kids here in Duluth, and other people in Duluth could tell you about the lives of poor kids here too, because there are other people working with these poor kids. But think of those as your kids too. If we do not invest in the lives and education and development of these 25 million poor kids in America today, it will cost everybody, which means it'll cost my grandchildren $7 trillion. That's trillion with a T. That's a lot of money. So my grandchildren will be worse off if we don't help these kids. Conversely, if we do once again invest in all of our kids, then our own biological kids will be better off. They'll be benefiting from a society in which we're spending less on jails and less on illness and more on developing the best ideas that you could get from young kids of all backgrounds. I'm in Duluth today in part to carry this message about the opportunity gap to another important part of the United States, but in part to repay a debt to the Duluth Superior Community Foundation, which played a big role in helping us do this research in the first place. So we did a lot of our interviews in Duluth as well as in towns and cities all across America. And so I said, when I asked for that help a couple of years ago, I said, if you help us do this kind of research here in Duluth Superior, I'll come back and talk about it. The north central part of the United States, Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Dakotas, have a history, actually, on issues just like this, of being what in the tech world we call early adopters. This is the place out of which solutions to some of these social problems have often come first. So I, kind of like to nudge you to get in the game and begin thinking about how this problem can be fixed. First of all here in Duluth, but then nationwide. In fact, I've said many times, and not just to community foundations can be the backbone, the civic backbone of any community trying to deal with problems. And for two reasons. One is they have resources, or they can rally resources from their supporters. But the other is they can serve as a meeting place, as a kind of a place in which people can get together and figure out how to solve problems. So I think the Duluth Superior Community Foundation is a terrific example of the way across America there are many cities, not enough, but many cities that benefit from the existence, as Duluth Superior do, from having a really strong, effective community foundation.